Another episode of me flipping PCs until I buy a house. Guys, this PC right here has been flipped. It's flipped for 281 euros and some cents. Just to be sure, 281 euros, 85 cents. This is a beautiful transaction. We are going to be doing justice to this PC, but not today. You see, typically, when I go to the post office and I come back, posting my items, I want to just go home because the idea is I want to have a closing time with this business. I don't want to work, all day long, But today, I made an exception to this rule because I reached out to my wife and she told me that, look, I'm with the kids. We have a football match going on and we are possibly going to be staying until like 7:30 in the evening. So I felt like, okay, you know what? I don't need to be in a hurry to go home. As a matter of fact, there's nobody at home. I don't need to actually be in a hurry to just drive home. Let me come back again to the warehouse, and take a look at what I can actually prepare for tomorrow. So I came here, switched on my computer again, logged onto YouTube, which I'm not in a habit of doing because when I come to this warehouse and I'm working, I am always, very constrained with time. I want to just, go boom, boom, boom. If I have to, process a PC, I have to pack it up. It's always just like that, boom, boom, boom. I don't listen to content when I'm working, but when I'm driving home, I can actually listen to content. But this day, I just said, okay, let me, play a YouTube video while, doing something. And then as soon as I logged onto YouTube, the video that was recommended to me was a video of a young man right now blowing up on YouTube. I think the username was VARB333, something like this. I'm not so sure. I can actually go ahead and link it at the end of this video. Guys, this guy is blowing up on YouTube. The last video he posted got a lot of views, and I was just kind of curious because the video he made was that he said he is 26 years old and he is living in a storage unit. This title, first of all, was like, wow, this is amazing, because this is what I thought. I was like, this is kind of sad. A 26-year-old, living in a storage unit. What happened? Like I said, I'm not in the habit of watching content while I'm working, because I understand that if you are not careful, you might just be sucked into this rabbit hole and you might end up just spending 1 hour if you are not careful. But then I said, let me click on it and see what this young man is up to. And apparently from the video I could see on his channel, he kind of separated from his dad. He was living with his dad for some time and then he left, and one thing led to the other. He found himself in a storage unit trying to, he's been living there for like 6 months, trying to make things happen, and boom, from nowhere, things are beginning to, take shape. And exactly what I thought in my head quite recently, I was like, every now and again, there is always a new example of the fact that, when things are pretty much done, society tells you that, look, it's over. Every situation, every circumstance around you telling you it is over. There's nothing you can do about it. And the situations are so strong. You receive these signals. It could be in your business. It could be in your academics. It could be even in your health. You are constantly told, from everything that you can see, it's pretty much screaming at you that, look, it's over. There's nothing you can do about it. And then from nowhere, once again, there is always this supernatural, turn around. I have noticed it not once, not twice in this business, in my private life. And sometimes when I take a look at, stories like that of this young man on YouTube, I just keep seeing this pattern over and over and over and again. You see a young man passing through, so terrible situations that you pretty much can safely say, look, it is over. But then supernaturally, from nowhere, one thing leads to the other, and boom, the person is either taken out of the situation, circumstances turned around like miraculously. Guys, I'm not even kidding you. And when I saw this video, I was like, wow, this is a pattern, and this is something that one really needs to take a look at. In this business, sometimes situations are so bad that I pretty much say, look, this is over. This is not going to work anymore. See, guys, this pattern, I am noticing it over and over and again. And given that I'm in business, I also understand that, look, there are ups and downs in business. If you decide to go the route of flipping PCs, there are ups and downs. And not once, like I said, not twice have I actually noticed this pattern that sometimes the business is just going, down the hill. You are kind of looking at it and thinking, oh, it kind of looks like this is the end of the road for this business. And boom, from nowhere, things are turned around. Guys, might not be the best example, but 2 months ago, my business was actually passing through a lot of difficulties. I couldn't make content, things were not selling. I couldn't get inventories to buy. Everything was just going, haywire. I had a lot of, personal stress. Things were just kind of, at a standstill, and at some point I was even telling myself, could this be the end of this whole thing? Could it be that eBay just suddenly stopped selling, or could it be that there are no longer inventories in the world anymore? And what's getting me a little bit stressed, and in the desperation, taking a look at my eBay shop, I felt like one thing I can possibly do now that things are just not selling, was to actually go ahead, take a look at my pricing strategy, even my overall listing strategy. I was kind of not so into this project because a long time ago, I did do this work. I spent a lot of time refining things. But I said to myself, when things are not working, what can I possibly be doing now? I have, the option of just sitting here now and bemoaning the situation, feeling discouraged, telling myself, what am I going to go from here? What am I going to do from here? But then I said to myself, look, if I have to put in the work again to take a look at the reason why the items I have listed on this platform are not selling, I am ready to do the work. If it's going to cost me another 1 week, sitting down and actually refining things, making sure that I find, I crack the code of, why people come to my shop, to see my items, where represented, where displayed, and they do not go ahead to buy it. Then I sat down for about 6 days or even 7 days, mapping out a new strategy for my pricing, trying to refine my processes, design a new listing template, make sure that I kind of automated the way I list my item, that look, at the slightest command, I can actually go ahead and set up an offer that will convert. This PC was one of the new transactions that came in immediately. I did, this whole shake up with my shop. I did deploy, my new strategy, and this PC right here is just one of the testimonies that, look, if you do not give up. And taking a look at the life of this young man also, I did realize one thing, that even though the situation that he found himself was very dire, it was crazy, for a young man to be living, in a storage unit in summer. This is not a fun situation. And in one of the videos he said, sometimes people just barge into a storage unit, which is kind of scary. There are roaches everywhere. And, but one thing I noticed, that this young man, he still believed in himself, because considering his videos on YouTube, the way the videos are titled, you see a young man that even though he was passing through fire, the most, difficult of situations, he still believed himself. He wasn't broken. He still believed that, look, there's going to be a way out of this situation. Got a job, even though he had to come home and sleep in a storage unit, didn't stop him from believing in himself. And the pattern I am kind of, noticing is that, look, it doesn't matter how difficult the situation might be. It could be in your business, things are just, at a standstill. If you do not give up, if you do not begin to, be, self-defeating, which is you look at yourself, look at all what you have done, and begin to tell yourself, no, I think this is not going to work. And you begin to sit down, very moody, you don't know what to do more. If you do not told this route of being, self-defeating, if you constantly tell yourself, even in the face of challenges, you keep telling yourself, this thing is going to work. I am going to figure it out. I am going to figure it out day and night. I think, guys, that the universe kind of picks these signals and just has a way of doing its thing, that things will just suddenly turn around. Look, I'm just telling you, not just because of the video I watched, but from my own situation as well. From most of these PCs, sometimes I have PCs here, from one reason or the other, they don't sell. I don't know, they have been listed on the platform, they have visitors looking at them, they are not selling. But sometimes before going home, I look at the PC, I take a look at it, I say, look, this PC, you have to go ahead and say you've been in this warehouse long enough, and boom, from nowhere, sometimes this PC says. I do not know how this happens, but the charge I have for somebody out there today is this. You might be passing through a very, very bad situation. It might be in your business. If you flip PCs for profit, or you flip any other thing on any platform for profit, you might be passing through a difficult situation. You know, a few days ago, I also saw a young man give up on eBay. He was like, I have to provide for my family. I think I have failed in this business. You know, kind of defeatist talk. You know, I feel like this young man could have done better, but you don't know what you don't know. But from what I am noticing, if this young man would kind of hang in there, speak positivity to the situation, even if you have to get a job, it doesn't matter, go ahead and get that job. But keep believing that, look, this thing that you are building, even though it's passing through a very bad phase right now, is going to get better. And if you keep speaking to that situation, from these little patterns I am kind of, noticing, it is definitely going to change. This is the same, way I feel about this YouTube channel. This YouTube channel, even though I'm putting out a lot of content, it's not getting the traction I'm expecting it to get. It's not like YouTube owes me anything. It's not like, I'm supposed to make videos and YouTube is supposed to show these videos to people. But I kind of feel like these contents are good content, and ideally, they should get more reach than it's currently getting right now, but it's not happening. But I am not giving up. I am putting in the input, and I am refining things, still being very, very positive that, look, there's going to be a turnaround, and this YouTube channel is going to grow. When that's going to happen, I do not know. And this exactly aligns with some of the patterns I am noticing for this young man right there. Kind of wish him all the best right now. It's like a new opportunity, a new beginning that has the capacity to turn his life around for the better. I kind of wish him all the best of luck, but then I felt like, his story, given that it's just unfolding now, is the latest, pattern I have noticed that, look, if you do not give up, doesn't matter how challenging the situation you are passing through might be, if you do not give up and you continue to push forward, you continue to be positive, you continue to wake up in the morning and do the things you have to do. It doesn't matter if it's, getting the right contact, getting, the right sources to buy stuff. If you keep waking up every morning, putting in the right input, believing in yourself that this situation of you not finding inventories, of your items not being ranked properly on eBay or whatever website you sell, of buyers not buying your stuff, or of buyers just buying your stuff and, trying to fraud you, if you keep believing in yourself that you're going to push through it, the universe is going to answer, and your situation is going to be turned around for good. So guys, if you think your situation is so hopeless today, I bring you, good news. Hang in there, do the things you have to do. Of course, hanging in there doesn't mean you should sleep all day long, scrolling on social media aimlessly. Do the things you have to do. If you have to get a job, go get a job. If you have to release your item, delist everything you have there on your shop, release them again, go ahead and do it. If you need to take good photographs of the items you have in your warehouse, in your garage, wherever it is, go ahead to do it. Yes, it might take a lot of time from you. It might take a lot of effort. It might take a lot of willpower. But if you can push through, believe in yourself and do the things that you have to do, I'm telling you guys, from the patterns I have noticed, the universe is going to answer. Yes, it sounds like a kind of motivating video. This might possibly be the video that just one person is waiting to hear to do big stuff. Until I see you again in the next one. Peace.